Okay, we're getting into All Star Superman 5 and 6. So, starting with number 5, we're just going to go ahead and hop in. Welcome back, everybody. But we start with Lex Luthor. He is going to pay for his crimes of being a terrible individual. So, they compare him to like Adolf Hitler. And the judge, he's like, you freely admit that these vile and appealing criminals are the men you revere above all as heroes and role models. Your insane schemes have placed us in jeopardy, the lives of every man, woman, and child on this planet. Do you have anything more to say before I put you in jail forever? And he's like, Superman made me do it. He should be on trial here instead of me. But Lex is like, just put me away. He's like, just put me in prison, dude. I just get it over with. And he's like, yep, you're guilty on all counts of crimes against humanity. The sentence is death in the electric chair. Lex is done. And he sits there happy. And so before he's going to die, Clark Kent is headed over there to Stryker's Island. So Clark Kent, Superman, is going to interview Lex Luthor. This one, the gospel according to Lex Luthor. So we see that they, for some reason, let Lex just like build around. I'm sure he owns Strikers at this point. He can just buy everything. So when I say own, I don't mean he actually owns it. I'm just saying like he has the power to do whatever he wants. So Clark comes in and Lex is like, I made this little machine. It's the Bibliobot Mark II. It reads classic literature. He's got thousands of pieces to pick from, Clark. Isn't that cool? And then he's like, this thing sucks, by the way. It's pathetic. And then it kind of harasses Clark. And then Clark doing his little classic, he's a little klutz. He accidentally kicks out the electrical wire so that Lex doesn't get electrocuted while holding his gun because there's water on the floor. And Lex is like, look at you. You're clumsy. You write very good, but somehow you still saved me from electrocution. Good job, Clark. And he's like, how ironic is it that I'm here on death row, courtesy of evidence gathered by your newspaper, and I let you guys, you specifically, Star Reporter, come interview me. So Lex is also like, look at these two girls. They didn't even notice that this would have killed me. And Clark's like, don't call those guards girls. They look pretty tough. They can beat me up. And Lex is like, I saw your Da Vinci of Crime headline. He's like, it's pretty good, but there's a little sneer hidden there. And he's like, come on, Kent, we're gonna take a walk. Go to the exercise room. So they get to the exercise room. Lex running on the treadmill's like, okay, Clark. So this would have never happened if anyone else on this planet had the wit to see it. That smug self-regard that powers his boyish charm. How does Superman look to a man like you, Clark Kent? What do you think? And he's like, I'm fine with him. He's really nice. And he's like, you don't feel diminished by a giant presence from another planet? And Clark's like, our jobs don't overlap. I don't really care. And Lex is like, okay, what are you writing? Takes his little notebook and he's like, I can't read this, dude. And he's like, it's shorthand. This is for me, Lex. It's not for you to read. Lex is like, why don't you get a little normal recording device? And he's like, those things don't work around me. I picked up shorthand. So Lex also, dude, just going crazy. Just shoulder presses 135 like that. And he's like, imagine life on this world if some opportunistic alien vermin hadn't decided to dump its trash here, Kent. That's all I've ever asked anyone to do. Imagine how it was meant to be. Think about without Superman to distract her. You just never know. Like perhaps cool, cruel Lois Lane might have actually noticed good old Clark Kent. Instead of just noticing Superman. And then Lex is like, I know you have feelings for Lois Lane. And Clark's like, I'm here to interview you, Luthor. Remember, they offer me an exclusive deal that you promised to my editor. And he's like, fine. I'm just saying, a tall, strapping Midwestern farmer's boy with brains, integrity, and no style of his own, that's a prize catch for Miss Lois Lane over there. Throwing some weight training in that flabby physique of yours might even rival Superman's build, which is funny, because He is Superman, obviously. But this gets into Lex's main point. Next to Superman, all she sees is an oaf, a dullard, a cripple. Next to the all-powerful Superman, Lex Luthor is an idiot even. What do you think about that, Kent? She'll never see past Superman to see you. That's basically his deal, is that everybody looks at Superman, notices Superman, but doesn't notice him. Everybody looks at Superman as a pinnacle, like a hope of, or a beacon of hope, like he's from another planet, instead of noticing Lex's intelligence. That's why he hates him. That's why they have that rival. And then he's like, feel my muscles, Kent. It's real. It's like, this, it didn't come from planet Krypton. It took hard work. And then Clark interjects. He's like, we're getting a little off topic. You don't really act like a man facing death. And he's like, I guess you're right. How's Superman these days anyways? He's like, is he tired, pale, sick? And Clark's like, I think he's fine. And Lex is like, I know he's not. He only looks that way. And let me tell you why, Kent. But Clark's like, I don't get it. You squander all your resources, intellect, on this unhealthy obsession with Superman. And Lex is like, you know, I spent much of my adult life in prison thanks to him. And Lex keeps going on. He's like, there are a bunch of people in here, brutes, strongmen, loners, masterminds. He's like, this is like my bottle city of Kandor that Superman has. I'm going to make a new environment here. And then he's like, what would you do if you had powers, Clark? And Clark's like, what are you talking about? An alternative to what? And he's like, this is going to be an alternative to truth, justice, and all those things that you can't weigh or carry. Every abstract that he represents. And Clark's like, dang, you really just hate Superman. And he's like, yes, I do. I'm transforming this place into a new model of society, a blueprint for utopian living. And then they finally get down the stairs, and Parasite over there starts screaming. He's like, I'll suck you dry, Luthor. And he's like, every society still has its monsters, even if we are terrible people. He's like, Parasite, though, doesn't scare me. He's like, brain beats brawn every time. And so we see them dragging out Parasite, and Parasite's still screaming, going crazy, but he sees the power that Lex has. I mean, that Superman has. So Parasite breaks free, and he's like, I have more power than I've ever had before. And Clark's like, we got to go. He's like, he feeds on nearby energy sources, like if Superman were passing by. And then Lex is like, why bother to shield him on his way back from the infirmary? So what if he drains a toaster before the screws take him down? He's like, it doesn't matter, Kent. Are you scared that he'll absorb you? Which, of course, Clark is, because he's like, if he gets me, everybody is going to die. So I got to leave. So chaos and a riot ensues in Strikers. Lex just kind of sits there and lets it happen. And then Clark, of course, is like, we got to go. So he starts running, and then a gun falls on the ground from a officer, and this guy almost shoots Lex in the skull. But Kent, of course, saves him by just being like, I can't see anything from this tear gas. Just faking it. And then he uses his little eyes, uses laser vision, and does the sprinkler down so that it gets rid of the gas. And then he does his little cold breath to stop the people chasing him. And he's like, or Lex, of course, doesn't see any of this, which is awesome. I love that Superman's still protecting Lex and he doesn't even know. So Lex is like, you got to keep up. Let's go. You know, part of me would be happy watching these animals tear you apart. But I need you alive because I need you to tell my story. And we see Parasite just breaking through walls. And he's like, the story I want you to tell is the story of a man who refused to bend to the knee to an alien invader. A man who dared ask the question, who does Superman think that he is? And Clark's like, wouldn't you rather talk about like your achievements instead? Like, we need to stay away from Parasite also. And then Clark's like, I don't think it's safe in this area. And he's like, my cell is down here. Don't you want to live, Clark? Like, we got to go. And then Parasite comes breaking through, and he's like, the power I feel is like a sun. So Lex just starts shooting at him, and he's like, I don't care that it's helping him. He's bloated with power. I don't give a shit. He's like, draw like a moth to a enormous energy source, which is Superman. And then Lex's new utopian society come, and they're like, you need to fight the monster to prove you're fit to lead us. What? How is that fair, by the way? So, yeah, Lex is like, we gotta go. Pray for a miracle, Clark. And then we see Superman break the floor underneath him by stomping it, or doing a little foot tap real quick, causing an earthquake, and Parasite is stuck. He's choking on energy, as Lex say. He's like, my bullets tipped the balance, made him too massive to carry his own weight. And then Parasite's like, oh, trapped down there. And Lex is like, his own greed nullified him. Starts kicking him, and he's like, nobody gets in my way. Nobody threatens me. And then, of course, these people in Strikers see that happen, and they're like, dang, I guess he is fit to lead us. That sucks. So he goes back to his own cell with Clark, and he's like, I've always liked you, Kent. You're a humble, modest, uncoordinated human. You're everything that Superman isn't.
The same thing that's gonna happen to Superman. I've always liked you, Kent. You're humble, modest, comically uncoordinated, human. In short, you're everything he's not.
But you're just another weapon in my war against Superman. Watch how easily I make you, your paper, and the entire penal system seem completely unreliable. And then, the inevitable, Lex Luthor opened up the floor and shook hands with a baboon in a Superman suit. Evening, Leopold, and there's a Superman. I don't even know why. He's like, your escape route, Kent? It's excavated by the Bibliobot Mark II. Did you know that Moby Dick can be recited at a frequency so high that it becomes a sonic drill capable of carving through solid rock? So this is where you go. He's like, this is a boring passage through the earth. My lovely Nastalia will take you back to the land of the living while I wait. She's 18. She speaks 30 languages, and she wants to rule the world one day. It's my niece, by the way. And then she's like, you got to fix your eyebrow, Lex, to make you look a little meaner. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. So he draws an eyebrow on his face. What are you doing, Lex? But he's like, I don't care. Clark's like, you could have escaped this prison anytime you wanted. He's like, what are you going to do? I can't believe you're going to die in this. He's like, you and Superman could have been friends. And this is when you see Superman get really mad. And Lex is like, I'm going to the chair fulfilled. I have friends in high places. It doesn't matter. And Clark's like, you'll die like a mad dog in the yard. What are you doing? And he's like, that doesn't matter. Superman will die first. I use the sun, the source of his energy, to overload him, to destroy him. What do you not understand? I killed Superman. It doesn't matter if I die. My greatest goal was to kill Superman, and I did it. Like, he's going to die. And we have a similar talk like this at the very end of this series about Lex and what he could have done for humanity had he not just hated Superman. But yeah, I like that little dialogue. It's like, you and Superman could have been friends, but you messed it up by being an egotistic piece of work. So Lex says he doesn't want the world to know that he's dying, so I want you to break the news gently. Take your exclusive, Kent. I place this beloved truth in your hands. Use it. You wanted my story, the gospel of Lex, and now you got it. There's no deep psychological behind the struggle between me and Superman. It's simple. How would you feel if someone deliberately stood in your way over and over again? He's like, if Superman wasn't here, I would be in charge of the planet. And now he's dying. I don't want anything else. I win. And that's how we end issue 5. So we go to issue 6. This is more of like a little fun one, I guess. Get away from the serious ones. So Clark goes back to his family, goes back to Paul Kent. And Paul Kent is like, me and your ma, well, we've been married, must have been 10 years before you came down here. And he's like, Clark. I've never been much of one for sitting at a church, but what else could I do? I came here and prayed, and then one night, not long after, you came here, and he's like, it makes me wonder, Clark. He's like, a childless couple blessed from above with a miracle boy from another world. How does that happen? And he's like, not just any boy, but the finest young fella I've ever met. Look at you. You've been doing great things, Clark. And then Superman's like, you want me to go fix that old tree? Like, I'm not immune to embarrassment, but I'll go help you out. And he's like, nah, you don't got to do it. Because Krypto shows up, just smashes into the ground like a little klutz. And he's like, where you been, Krypto? Like, what have you been doing? So he hangs out with Krypto, and then we see Pa Kent, have his normal little thing where he's having a little bit of heart problems, but he doesn't die right now. So Superman throws a little tree. Krypto goes and grabs it, and Pa goes and sees Martha, and Martha's like, you look pale. And he's like, it doesn't matter, but he can fly. Do you ever think about that? Like, he can fly into space, Martha. And she's like, oh, I know. And we see somebody show up who asks, I heard you're looking for some good men for the harvest. And then Krypto and Superman are flying through space, looking at the world. So if you don't know this by now, this is in the past. This isn't current. He's wearing his like university clothes, so it doesn't matter. You'll see later he talks about moving to the city, but he's like, who are those 3 men I saw in the field last night, Ma? He's like, I can bring the harvest single-handedly. And she's like, yeah, I know. They're a little weird, but he wants it done his way, so it's okay. They're on their way in now. So we meet three men, 3 new farmhands that Paul shows up. One of them's named Calvin Elder, big tall dude. One of them's a little short guy, and then one of them's a bandaged up man. So he said that they met in the war. So then we cut to a little diner, and Clark is talking to his friends inside of Smallville, which is Lana Lang and Pete Ross. But Clark is like, these guys are weird. Like, they're super suspicious. I have no idea what these guys are doing. And Lana's like, I think it's just this journalism thing going to your head. And Pete Ross comes up. He's like, you're crazy, Clark. It's official. He's like, I don't know. I just don't need to be in the city at all. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I like farming, but these guys are weird. Like, I don't know what I want to do at all. And Lana's like, I want to see the world. See world.
Kevin, you can't possibly save enough time to see the world.
Yeah, Kevin, are you saying see the world or Sea World?
Sea World. Oceans. Fish. Jump.
Okay.
China.
They take a little photo, and then his super hearing kicks in. He's like, everybody saw Superman's like, I saw the Kansas Superman. And then he kind of just zones out, and he's like, I'm going to go. This food is messing with me. So he dips, and he's like, I overheard, right? See, Krypto, Calvin Elder has superpowers and an action suit just like mine. So we see that little group helping somebody. He's like, this chronivore ate this poor guy's life, but he didn't die in vain, Cal. And then they're like, I can hear a distinctive heartbeat somewhere. Talking about our Superman. And so then he shows up and he's like, oh, you got a dog here. Like, that's cool. And he's like, how did you sneak up on me? And he's like, well, I'm a Superman just like you. And then Clark's like, are you from Krypton? He's like, no, I was born in the future on Earth. My name is Cal Kent. I'm the Superman of AD 853,000. Your dog smelled the future on me, but you've traveled in time. You know what's possible. I'm a member of the Superman Squad. I fight along Supermen of many different eras to protect the structure of space-time itself. And then he's like, Superman? And he's like, yes, here are my allies. The unknown Superman of 4500. The Superman, oh gosh, Clickspinel, whatever, I can't even. He's like, this is the Superman of the 5th dimension. And then I'm just going to call him Klickzik. Was like, sorry, we had to disguise ourselves. You can't even honestly understand what I am anyways. Don't even matter because I'm from the 5th dimension. And Superman's like, what did I just see? And he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I forgot it only enters your bloodline in the 67th century when Superman Purple married Quentin Queen. Oh my gosh, I hate all these fifth dimension imp names. Oh, there's too many. Whatever, I'm not even going to say that one. And he continues on. He's like, we're here to find the Chronovore monster. We've hunted across 10 centuries so far. And Clark's like, whoa, if you're my descendants, do I marry Lana? And Cal's like, I don't know about that. But they're like, the Chronovore has come here to die and spawn again. Its distinct energy blueprint of the beast can clearly be seen in the frozen light image. Let me show you. And it's just like a monster of like blood, faces, and claws, talons. I don't know. Thing's crazy. So they're like, it's aging everything it touches. And Quicksilver is like, I brought my trusty harpoon. This will spirit chain it to the 5D snares till our teammates get here and can cage it up. So the Superman squad go into action, and of course, this is that mystery unknown Superman, and he's like, we're gonna go in, and Clark breaks out of Cal's grips, and he's like, I'm going with them. I'm gonna help out. Like, you don't understand. I'm Superman. And there's something weird about all this that you guys aren't telling me. So this turns into more of like a Superman versus Superman fight instead of all of them against the Chromovore. Our Superman's like, I'm able to leap from world to world in a single bound. Cal is like, that's cool, but I'm from the future. I'm telepathic. You can't win. You're not as strong, smart, or fast as you need to be or want to be. And he's like, but I still have my dog. And the Crypto takes him out. So we see the Chromovore still going through. Kate Svitalik is harpooned up there. And the unknown Superman walks up to Pa Kent. And Pa says, you boys did a fine job. I always say it's the work that you put in that you get back. And he's like, my wife wants us to up sticks back it into Smallville. She wants to mind the general store, put her heart into the business. So I guess this is the end for me and the farm. And he's like, will the boy be okay? Talking about his son, Superman. And the mystery Superman says, it all turns out all right in the end. So the fifth dimensional imp Superman's like, the Chronovore's breaking loose. And he's like, no, not if I can help it. And then Cal sits there and he's like, I tried to warn you. He's like, if you face it, it'll eat 3 minutes precious of your life. The most 3 minutes precious. In those 3 minutes, Jonathan Kent suffered a heart attack. And then while they're fighting, Superman hears it. And this is whenever you see the unknown Superman hops in, and then our Superman leaves. And he's like, I can't hear my Pa's heartbeat. He's like, Pa, where are you? I have to save him. And he shows up to Pa with Ma, and Pa's dead. He's like, I can save everybody. So we get to the funeral for Pa Kent. Superman gives the eulogy. Jonathan Kent taught me that the strong have to stand up for the weak and that the bullies don't like to be bullied back. He taught me that a good heart is worth more than all the money in the bank. He taught me about life and death. He taught me that the measure of a man lies not what he says, but what he does. And he showed me, by example, how to be tough and how to be kind and how to dream of a better world. Thank you, Pa. So we see Ma and Clark come together, and she's like, I can't leave you alone, Ma. And he's like, I'm not alone in Smallville. He's like, you think your Pa wanted you to stay a farmer all your life? He's like, one of the last things he said, Clark, is that you're bigger than all of us. And Clark's like, I don't understand. What's the point of my powers? What's the point of anything I do if I can't save everybody? And then we cut to the Superman squad, and they're like, cool, the door is opening, Cal. And this is where we reveal that the unknown Superman that we've had is actually the one we're reading about. So this is the past. The one that has the bandages on is our Superman from this entire story. So our Clark is like, thank you. I knew I had to conceal my identity from my younger self because that's how I remember it happening. But thank you for letting me see my dad one last time. So they're like, before you return to your home time, the leader of the Superman squad has something for you. And this is another little thing. We don't know who this guy is. He looks like Clark, and Clark's like, which descendant are you? He doesn't answer. There's no response about who he is. He's like, this was the day you joined forces with 3 generations of Supermen. to chain the Chronovore, another of your legendary 12 labors I seem to recall. This is indestructible flower from New Krypton, from him, or for him, from all of us, in remembrance of all that we are and all that you will be. And then Clark plants the flower. So we don't know who that Superman is, but there's a good theory, and we'll talk about it later. So thank you for watching. This one's kind of a weird time, but it doesn't matter. So, yeah, comment, like. We're going to finish Superman. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Peace out.